Alright, listen up, you idiot. I mean, tube tech students. There won't be any messing around for the next couple of weeks. Not as long as I'm here. Let's get introductions out of the way so we can get to the meat of things. My name is Diddlette, and I'll be your substitute teacher while Diddles is out of town on important business. Don't ask when he'll be back, because I don't know. What I do know is that he gave me a list of subreddits I could read from to keep you all entertained. Alright, let's see what we got here. Here we go. Our prorevege. This should be good for today's class. So, what do you say we get started? This story is about my dad and happened in the mid to late 70s. My dad taught shop in a very rough, tough part of town. Cut the whole beginning out. Just cut the whole beginning out. Not a good idea to hire your girlfriend instead of the shop teacher. This story is about my dad and happened in the mid to late 70s. My dad taught shop in a very tough part of town. Think ghetto area with beginnings of gangs. He was highly respected by all of his students because they knew he wouldn't tolerate their BS. I'm going to say BS because I don't think I'm allowed to swear to you all. Summers were a tough time for our family because our teachers do not get paid for summers, so they have to find jobs. One year there was a perfect job at the school that was tailor-made for my dad. The group funding the summer class actually wrote the job description with my dad in mind. The school principal chose to hire his mistress to teach this vocational class instead. The woman had absolutely no clue about the subject matter. She was an English teacher, but she got the job instead. My dad was quite angry, and so was the group funding the job, but hiring was solely the principal's decision. The principal was married to a woman with money, and he did not want her to know about his mistress. My dad helped the janitor with a lot of maintenance for the school, and was good friends with him. My dad had keys to the entire school because of this. He also had a lot of experience with all sorts of locks, a hobby of his. Dad knew that making friends with the janitor and secretary would help him around the school, and he made a point of doing this at every school. He knew where the combination to open the giant safe in the office was. For some reason the school had been built with a huge old-fashioned safe, think bank safe type, and the principal kept the combination written down inside a desk drawer. Yes, this was an idiot move, but this man was very arrogant and refused to ever change the combination or memorise it. Who would dare to get into his things? My dad never threw things out and often pulled things out of the dumpster if he thought they might be useful. One of the things he rescued from the dumpster was a life-size skeleton that was discarded when a biology teacher left suddenly. The principal was freaked out by it and ordered it tossed because the teacher left. The skeleton was not school property, and the principal had no idea that my father had rescued it from the dumpster. The principal gave his mistress very expensive status symbol type things. This included a mink coat, jewellery and expensive trips. Both principal and mistress told their spouses that the trips were to educational conferences. Being friends with his secretary meant he heard all the gossip, and he knew that the principal kept these items in a big safe in the office so that his wife would not know about them, and neither would the mistress's husband. Being really irate about the job because he had to find something else and because the kids would learn nothing from his job training course, my dad decided to set up revenge. He took the skeleton to the safe and dressed it in the mink coat and fancy jewellery. He put the skeleton on a stand that it held upright inside this big safe. Then he left for the summer. On the last day of the summer course, the principal and his mistress were getting ready to take a week-long trip together. They told their spouses it was for a conference. They then went to get the coat and jewellery so the mistress would have a chance to wear them. The mistress didn't care that it was summer. She wanted to wear the coat. Yes, this makes no sense, but she was super status conscious and wanted to show it off. She was that kind of person. When the principal opened the safe, he saw the skeleton in the coat and jewellery. He had a panic attack. He had no history of heart trouble that he and his mistress thought was a heart attack. They called an ambulance. Mistress went to the hospital wearing the jewellery that she grabbed while waiting for the ambulance. The coat was left on the skeleton in the safe. Wife showed up at the hospital and met the mistress in her jewellery. It was very distinctive and a style that the wife had asked her hubby for on several occasions. The wife knew a teacher could never afford it. When principal and mistress left in the ambulance, no one thought to lock the safe. The door was just pushed shut, and it had a big wheel that had to be turned to lock it. Wife went to the school to see what was in her husband's office about the mistress, and she saw her dream coat in the safe. The wife never saw the skeleton because the janitor took it out of the safe after the ambulance left. Principal knew he was in a lot of trouble with his wife and the school board. He kept ranting about his skeleton, but it wasn't there, and he was the only one who saw it other than mistress. The school board thought he was delusional and had violated a morality clause in his employment contract. He got divorced and couldn't take any money from his wife because she proved his adultery. The mistress wouldn't talk to him or say anything about the situation because she didn't want to incriminate herself. After the principal was fired, his secretary testified about his mistress and the money spent on her at the divorce proceedings. He literally lost everything, including his pension. His wife got it all. The mistress tried to lie to her husband about why she was there and said the jewellery was from a contest for best teacher. Yes, because there's a contest for that. I should get it. Her husband divorced her and got custody of their kids. Not common in divorce at that time. Because of her infidelity being a bad influence on the kids. She got fired and had to give the jewellery to the principal's wife. The school board did an audit of the school budget. The principal got arrested for fraud and embezzling because he used school money for the coat and for trips that he and mistress took that were supposedly for educational training. My dad thought this was all exactly what the principal and his mistress deserved. They would not have said anything about this matter if they didn't take a really good paying summer job away, and they didn't have a bunch of kids stuck in a class where they would learn nothing because all the teacher could do was tell them to read a book. She couldn't do any of the projects that were part of the course because she was an English teacher and not a shop teacher. To be honest, I think depriving the kids of solid job skills that the class was designed to teach upset him even more than having to find a different summer job. He did enjoy having a different principal the next year. That was actually funny, I actually liked that one. The skeleton thing was actually class. I don't know if he thought like there was a dead person there or like he recognised the skeleton. I want to know like if he thought the skeleton was like somebody that died, but then that wouldn't make any sense. Ended mother-in-law's career after she ruined our lives, and we get to start with a bit of context. I've posted a bit about my fiance's adoptive mother Susan in the last couple of weeks, but for anyone unfamiliar with Susan, she was my lecturer when I was at university. Susan hated that I was dating her adopted son, biological nephew, since she found out about us. When we first told her we were dating, she tried to kill me via allergy, another story for another day, which I hope I can find because I want to know about it. And after she found out I was pregnant, she stalked us, impersonated me, and broke into our flat. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. She made our lives hell to the extent where we no longer felt safe in our own home. And my fiancé and I had to move across the country to escape her. We've been living in our new place for a little under a week. The baby is due in a couple of months and everything is mostly ready. We've deactivated our social media, created new emails, and changed our numbers. Only a few friends and relatives from the town she lives in, which we left, have our new numbers. We had to leave our entire lives and everyone we knew and loved behind while I was 7 months pregnant because we couldn't trust her around our baby. That's such a good intro. So we get to go into the best part, the revenge. On Monday, an email was sent from the dean to Susan's graduating students saying Susan was being considered for a promotion from lecturer to head of department and they wanted to hear from her students first. The aim of this was to receive glowing recommendations to give to their board. This was not the result. As I changed my email, I hadn't seen this. One of my friends who had my new number and was on the course with me did see the email, and on Tuesday he gave my new number to the dean, saying that he would only give her the number in person, on paper, and only if she agreed to ring when she was alone and throw out the paper and erase her from the logs after. Cause if she was calling from a university phone, then the number would go on the call logs that were accessible by all members of staff. But he assured her that this was something she'd want to hear before promoting Susan. So, I got this call from the dean on Tuesday. She told me what was going on. My friend hadn't time to get in touch before she rang, and she asked me why my friend thought I should speak to her. I told her everything. I started 2 years ago when I met Susan's son, the man who would become my fiancé and the father of my child. I told her about Susan poisoning me via allergy after finding out about me and her son, and the EpiPen incident. I told her about the outside of class harassment I received post-pregnancy announcement, impersonating me, crashing GP appointments, breaking in, etc. I told her about the in-class harassment, telling me to break up with my fiancé, stopping lectures until I left, throwing out my food and drink, trying to reschedule exams, and more. I told her about the last time I saw Susan in person, when she tried to hit me while I was 7 months pregnant with her grandchild. I told her about having to move away. I was careful not to give location or distance, and filing a restraining order to escape Susan. I thought the uni were made aware of the restraining order, but apparently not. Fiancé then arrived home from work, and when I told him what was happening, he was all too eager to chime in with stuff I forgot, copying keys, punching the landlord, cancelling orders, going through our things. He also told the dean about the abuse he got from her growing up. We also gave the dean the names of people willing to support our story, as well as some dates, times and locations of on-campus incidents. I've made a note of a few of them, so she could pull CCTV from the campus security recordings. Fiancé had also told her the story of one of his cousins, Susan's biological kid, who got close with a guy on Susan's course, but the guy was told to break up with her by Susan with a thinly veiled threat against his academic career. We also told the dean about Susan telling me to break up with my fiancé and vice versa, so she could better maintain professionalism. The dean was horrified. She had me and my fiancé record a video where we said everything all over again from the top. We made sure the video had nothing to identify location, and we were assured Susan would never see it. We also sent her all the proof we had alongside it. This was all forwarded to the board on Wednesday and Thursday. She asked my friend for the number again and just called me for the second time, telling me that the board unanimously agreed that this was grounds for Susan's dismissal. I ran out of breath there, I'm so sorry. They said that while the outside of uni events weren't really their business, they go towards her character, and the fact that as a department head, she would represent the department, whether she was on the clock or not. They said even without this, the events that happened inside of uni alone, stopping lectures, telling me to dump my fiancé, telling the other guy to leave her daughter alone, throwing out my stuff, seeking special treatment on grounds of nepotism, were all abuses of power and enough to justify Susan's dismissal. They asked me why I hadn't filed charges, and I said all I'd gained from filing charges is Susan staying away from me and the restraining order, and moving away has the same effect. Plus, as it's exam season, my tutor work is really taking off and I don't have the time to go through a whole court case, and I'll have even less time once the baby arrives. The baby is due in about 8 weeks and Susan has already caused me enough stress. Tomorrow, in the meeting where Susan is fully expecting to be told she got her promotion, the dean is now going to give her a week to hand in her resignation. If she does not hand in her resignation, she will be fired. That was a bit repetitive. She will not be getting a reference. The only reason she is being given the option to resign is that she has worked at this university for nearly a decade. But if she so much as raises her voice in the meeting tomorrow, she will be fired. In case you weren't aware. Security will be present for the meeting, in case she tries anything. Meanwhile, the friends we left behind aren't hesitating to tell anyone who will listen all about what Susan did during the course of mine and my fiancé's relationship. There's not a single soul left in that town who trusts her or will take her side if she tries to fight back. Not even her husband, who told us that now all their kids are over 18, he'll be initiating divorce proceedings. I don't feel even a little bad. I know there's a chance I went too far, but I didn't lie or embellish anything. I just gave Dean the facts as they are. Everything is 100% true, and while it was me who told the dean, I see this as Susan's actions having consequences. Susan has more than enough money to pay for herself for the foreseeable future, and she owns her home. Her husband's name is not on the deed, and she bought it before they got married, so she will get the house in the divorce as it's not technically a shared asset or one acquired during their marriage. She will have a roof over her head and money in her bank account, and if she wanted to, she could get another job, just probably not one as a lecturer. Well, I would sure hope she wouldn't get a job as a lecturer because that is disgusting. Well, she did. And there's FAQs down here that actually answer my question about the allergy incident. So, what is the EpiPen / poisoning accident? I am severely allergic to peppercorn, as in salt and pepper. And shortly after Susan found out we were dating and asked us to break up, she then invited us to dinner to apologise. I offered to cook as I had my pepper allergy to work around, and she insisted on cooking. Fiancé also reminded her of the pepper allergy, as did his uncle / her husband. She cooked pepper crusted turkey. Oh my god. That is shoving it in her face. That is literally shoving it in her face. Susan insisted it was a palate issue and I needed to stop being fussy. I didn't eat it, but due to my proximity to a giant lump of cracked and cooked pepper, combined with the severity of my allergy, I was sat at the table with the turkey right in front of me. I wound up inhaling enough that I began to violently cough and felt lightheaded. Fiancé went to get me water while I went for my EpiPen. I couldn't open it and Susan took it off me. I pointed to where she should administer it, and instead of doing that, she asked me if I was sure about not breaking up with Fiancé. Uncle arrived, saw what was happening, called Fiancé into the room, and between them they got my EpiPen, administered it and drove me to A&E. To this day, Susan insists that no one is allergic to pepper, I'm just fussy. And even though I should have pressed charges at the time, not only was she still my lecturer, but law enforcement says that being stupid isn't a crime. Wow. Wow. I can't believe that. You would actually go to that measure just to get what you wanted. In this case, being stupid should be a crime because she is beyond stupid. Beyond stupid. I can't believe that. That you would go to such measures just to get what you want. Going as far as wanting to kill someone. For what reason? Like, there's no particular reason as to why she doesn't like this girl. Like, there's been no thing apart from maintaining professionalism. But that doesn't even mean anything. Like, it has nothing to do with you. Like, a university course is like, what, 3 or 4 years long? Like, what's it got to do with you? Like, how is it going to affect your life? Some people, man. And that's gonna cut it for today's class. Hope you all enjoyed these stories, cause that'll be it for a while. What? You thought I'd be doing 3 classes a week like Diddles? You've got it twisted, mates. I only promised that I'd upload so the school wouldn't shut down his channel again. So, yeah. If he asks me to cover again, then I guess I'll see you again. But until then, class is dismissed. Get out!